Alright guys, BLM here, back with a new video. In this video, I'll be talking about the chances of there ever being a Big Brother all-winners season. And I feel like this topic has come up a bit more recently, considering the announcement of Survivor 40 being an all-winner season. I did a video on the same topic for Survivor before that was announced, and pretty much everything in that video is incorrect. So why not give it a shot with Big Brother? So obviously, again, I'm probably going to be wrong here, but might as well do this video. It's going to be purely speculation, but I do feel even less confident that there will ever be a Big Brother all-winner season. Like Survivor, I thought it was going to happen. I just didn't think it would happen right now. Big Brother, this is never happening. I do think it's a fun idea. I do think it is something that theoretically could happen, but knowing production, knowing how CBS has run Big Brother, it's not going to happen. The fact that we haven't even gotten a full all-star season since Big Brother 7, I think is a big sign as well. I mean, I'll be even surprised if we get another all-star season, let alone an all-winner season. But I do think there's one scenario where something like this is possible, and that is in a format similar to Celebrity Big Brother. An abbreviated season that takes place over the course of probably like a month with a cast of probably like 11 or 12. So, like in my Survivor video, we will be going over each of the 20 winners of the main series of Big Brother US so far and talk about who I think production would want to play again and who would be willing to play again in a theoretical all-winner season if it were to ever happen in this format, which again, it won't, but I think it'll be fun to talk about. So let's start off with Big Brother 1. We got Eddie McGee, which, I mean, Big Brother 1's obviously a completely different game than what we have now. I never found Eddie to be a particularly interesting character, and I feel like production doesn't even like to really mention BB1 outside of Chicken George. Plus, I don't even know if Eddie really has any interest in playing Big Brother again. So for me, I don't consider this super likely, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. Now for BB2, we have Will, Kirby, and I feel like if a season like this were to ever happen, it would happen because Will said yes. I think Will is essentially like the Boston Rob of Big Brother, where I don't feel like Survivor All Winners would have happened if Boston Rob said no. And I do think there's a chance he would say yes for an all-winner season. I think this is pretty much the only season he would say yes to, and only if it is a month like it is. But I could also see him turning it down. But I would say that if this season were to happen, he's pretty much a lock on the board. Now for Big Brother 3, we have Lisa Donahue, who I think is pretty much a lock. I mean, there aren't many female winners, and even adding to that, there's not many female winners that can come back. So I do feel like Lisa being one of those winners that can come back. She was at the Big Brother 20 premiere. I think she's openly said that she wants to play again. She was in the running for BB7. I mean, I think Lisa would be a pretty big lock on the board. Now for BB4, we have Jun Song, who I think would be a great pick to be on a season like this, but I don't think it will happen if there was a season like this. I think one of the reasons is because she currently lives in Belgium. But another factor is the fact that she doesn't really have a great relationship with production. She has a pretty open feud with Julie Chen, which isn't great. So I do feel like the chances of her coming back are extremely unlikely. Now for BB5, we have Drew Daniel, who I think production wouldn't really want back too much. I don't think he's like at the top of their priority list by any means. And I do feel like there's enough winners for a season like this that they don't need to bring him back either. I don't know if he would come back either. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I believe he's currently a lawyer, but he did get arrested a while back for domestic violence stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone has interest here in him coming back. So I'm just going to put it as unlikely. Now for BB6, we have Maggie, and Maggie is never going to play Big Brother again. I mean, production never seemed to really like her. The audience hated her, and she just had a terrible experience after playing BB6. And really just isolated herself from the community, so I just don't think we'll ever see her come back. Now for BB7, we have Mike Boogie, who I think, like Will, probably doesn't want to play a normal season ever again. But I do think we could get him back for an all-winner season. I mean, I think the biggest issue for him is his current legal issues. But I do think if they were able to get that out of the way, I do think Boogie would be a pretty big contender to be coming back here. Though I don't know if they would want both Will and Boogie back for this season, especially with the cast being so small, but whatever. Now from BB8, we have Evil Dick, who, like Jun Song, I do feel like has kind of ruined his relationship with production over these last few years, which is kind of ironic considering he was pretty much production's favorite during BB8. But I do think the fact that he's ruined the relationship with production, also the fact that he currently has HIV, which is something that CBS probably doesn't want to risk accidentally spreading to other house guests. I just don't feel like it's worth it to put Evil Dick on a season. So, yeah, it's not going to happen. Now for BB9, we have Adam Jasinski, and I personally would love to see him play again. I feel like he's an underrated winner, and I do feel like it would be interesting to see him now that he's sober and a motivational speaker. I think it would be interesting to see how he's changed, but I don't feel like production would want him back. I feel like they would kind of look at him as sort of like a Brian Heidick-esque figure. So the fact that he like ran that drug ring and then ended up in prison and all that, I feel like that's something that they wouldn't really want to bring back. So I don't think Adam would come back, even though I would like to see it. Now for BB10, we have Dan Giesling, and recently I feel like Dan's been very flip-floppy on whether he would come back or not. I think there's been times where he's kind of like hinted towards, oh, maybe I would come back. But then there's a lot of times where he just outright says no. I don't know. I do feel like for a 1-month season, all winners, how do you say no to that? Especially someone like Dan, who is as big of a fan as he is, and someone who cared so much about his legacy of having a perfect win. I feel like there's no way Dan would turn this season down, especially if people like Will and possibly Derek are on board as well. But then again, the season's not happening. But I do think Dan would be a pretty big lock on the board for this sort of season. Now for BB11, we have Jordan Lloyd, who I know has said that she never wants to play again. She didn't even want to play BB13. The only reason she did it was because of Jeff. And to be honest, I don't think she ever will. But at this current point, I mean, production would kind of need her to say yes if they were to do a season like this. Again, there's not many females on the board, unless we include spinoffs. But if I were to guess, I would say she would probably say no, even though production would really want her back. Now for BB12, we have Hayden Moss, who I would say is one of the biggest locks on the board. I don't see how Hayden turns this down. He's talked before about wanting to play Big Brother again. But then again, I do find it strange he hasn't returned for Survivor. I mean, he's been very open about wanting to play Survivor again. But the fact that he hasn't been on it, it's been, 11 seasons? I think there must be something there for why he hasn't returned, and I don't know what it is. But then again, for an all-winner season of Big Brother, I do feel like it's the perfect time to bring him back. Now for BB13, we have Rachel Riley, which I think Rachel Riley is 100% the biggest lock on the board. I don't think there is any chance she says no, and I would be completely mind blown if they don't ask her back for this. I think she's like a lock on the board. I don't think there's any chance she's not on an all-winner season if they ever do one. Now for BB14, we have Ian Terry, and if this was years ago, I would say he would be a lock. But in the last few years, he's supposedly stopped watching Big Brother. He's kind of stayed away from the community. I do think now it's a bit more up in the air. I do think at the end of the day, he would still say yes to an all-winner season, especially again a 1-month season, but it's not a lock like it used to be. Now for BB15, we have Andy Herron, and I'm pretty sure Andy Herron would say yes in a heartbeat, but I feel like production wants nothing to do with him. And most of BB15 for that matter. And while I would like to see him play again, I don't feel like production would feel like they need to bring him back in a cast of only 6 male winners, so I don't think he's making the cut. Now we got BB16 and we have Derek Levasseur, and to me Derek is in a similar spot to Will and Dan. He doesn't seem to be too interested in playing again, but if there was an all-winner season, I don't see how he says no. But there's also something standing in his way, and that is his appearances on other TV shows. Since Big Brother, he's been doing a lot of these sort of like detective sort of shows for other networks. So I don't know if that will hold him back from being on another season of Big Brother, whether from a contractual standpoint or from a simple scheduling standpoint. I really don't know. So I wouldn't consider him a lock on the board, but I do still feel like, again, I don't feel like they would do this season without Derek. Now for BB17, we have Steve Moses, and I don't think we'll ever see Steve play again. I mean, he was at the BB20 premiere, so there was that, but I don't feel like Steve wants to play again. He's never really shown any interest in playing again, and I don't feel like production would want him back again. I mean, like, if they're only going to pick one of Ian or Steve, they're obviously going to pick Ian, and even before that, I just don't feel like Steve is someone high on their priority list, and I don't feel like they need him, so I don't feel like he would come back anyway. Now for another lock on the board, we have Nicole Franzel from BB18. 2019, and I think she's a lock. Production loves her. CBS seems to really like her. I don't think she's ever said that she wouldn't play again. And the only thing that could possibly get in the way is her wedding with Victor, but then again, this season's not happening anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I do think Nicole would be a lock on the board during most situations where an all-winner season is in contention. Now for BB19, we have Josh Martinez, who, for me, again, I think is a pretty big lock on the board. I think production seems to love him. He seems really open to playing again. The only thing that could stop him is possibly his appearances on the challenge. I don't know if there's something in his contract that would make him not be able to play Big Brother again, as there usually is something like that for most reality shows, but I'm sure they could work something out if they ever wanted to do all-winner season anyway. And also, I believe Jay Starrett from Millennials vs. Gen X Survivor, I believe he was on X on the Beach and has openly said that the only reason he did that was because it wouldn't harpen his chances of ever coming back to Survivor. So I do feel like because of that, there probably isn't some sort of thing in the contracts here, but who knows. But either way, I think Josh will come back anyway. And finally, for BB20, we have Casey Clark, who I don't feel like production would really have her super high on their list of people to bring back. But considering the very limited casting pool, I feel like they would need her back. And I do feel like she would also say yes. So I think because of that, she's pretty much a lock on the board just because there's not really many options. So there we go. That is every main series winner. And again, I should say this. I don't think this will ever happen. I do think it is theoretically possible if CBS wanted to. If they wanted to do this special shorter season, they put the time and money into gathering all these winners, I do think it is technically possible, but it would be tight. I mean, looking at this casting pool, at what we went over, we would need at least 11 people for 11-person cast. So, I mean, I would assume 6 males, 5 females, just due to the number of winners that we have. And based on the predictions that I made earlier in this video, for the males, we should have Will, Boogie, Dan, Hayden, Ian, Derek, and Josh. That's 7 people. So there are enough there. I do think probably someone like Boogie would be an alternate here. But then we get to the females, and it's a bit tougher. Again, the ones I said that would be on would be Lisa, Rachel, Nicole, and Casey. That's 4. I mean, Jordan is a maybe. That could be the 5th. But again, I don't think she would want to play again. It would be tough there. I mean, I think if we include winners of spinoffs, it becomes very easy. I mean, we could add in Morgan Willett. We can add in Tamar Braxton. I feel like that would fill out the group there. But again, it doesn't matter. This is never happening. But I think it's a fun thing to talk about if it's even possible if they wanted to. I do feel like it's possible. It's just a matter of having everything align, which I don't know if it ever will. I mean, it did for Survivor, and kudos to them. I don't know if it'll be that way for Big Brother. I mean, I feel like there's so many people in the air. I mean, even the people of the males I talked about that were locks. I mean, like Will, Dan, Derek, I feel like all of them are really just in the air there. Even Boogie. I mean, I think if we really wanted to make this possible, I think we would have to wait until at least Big Brother, probably like 25 or 30. But again, I don't think it's ever going to happen. CBS doesn't seem to be too interested in it. Production definitely doesn't seem to be too interested in it. I just don't think an all-winner season is ever going to happen. But yeah, that's the video. Those are my thoughts on the possibility of there ever being a Big Brother all-winner season. So yeah, thank you for watching.